I assume everyone can hear me. Is this too loud? No? My name is Jan Riley, and I'm one of the high school counselors. And on behalf of the entire counseling staff, we'd like to welcome everyone to our next step presentation this evening. And I want to take a minute or two to introduce you to a couple of my colleagues that are here as well. Down front, we have Lauren DiGianni. She's one of the high school counselors, and she'll be presenting in a little while. And way up high in the booth, you can't see her right now, but Gretchen Lynch is here as well, and she'll be coming down in a few minutes, and she'll be presenting. We do ask that you hold your questions until the end of the program. We know you guys will have a lot of questions, so we've built time at the end to ask those questions. We've just found over the last few years that our program runs much more smoothly if you hold those questions until the end. And then what we'll do is we'll let you know when the program is over with, and anyone that needs or wants to leave is welcome to. But we will have a question and answer session. We'll have a microphone, so if everyone can stay seated, and we'll be able to get hopefully most of the questions this evening. And if anyone has any questions after tonight, the best thing would be to email or call your child's counselor directly, and we'll be able to help you and answer any questions that you have. I know we still have people coming in, but we said we get started, so we're going to go. And could I see with a show of hands how many parents here tonight have an 11th grader? Are there any parents of sophomores? What about freshmen? It's very different from last year. We had quite a bit of sophomore and freshman parents here. Great. So I'm going to ask for a cartoon to be put up, which we like for a couple of reasons, especially for the parents of juniors. So we like it for a couple of reasons. Number one, we think it's funny. But number two, we do find that a lot of parents at this time of the year start to feel this way. And our goal tonight is that after this evening, if you feel remotely like this cartoon, that you're going to walk away with a whole different feeling. Because we're going to lay out the groundwork and explain the whole process. And if you follow everything, how we explain it, it's all broken down month by month. Everything will work out extremely well. As counselors, and I don't think I'm speaking just for myself, working with juniors at this part of their lives is probably one of the most rewarding parts of our jobs. We get to listen to their plans, their goals, and watch the process all evolve. And it's really fascinating to see. And I just want to stress that it is a very natural progression. So kids are all over the place. There are some juniors who've already visited colleges, and that's rare. But some 11th graders who will be going to a four-year college haven't really had any conversations to many people about it yet. And most people are somewhere in between. But it's a natural progression that they go through, and it's not a race to be won. And like I said, the time frames are all laid out. And we want you to know that there are over 4,000, in case you didn't know, there are over 4,000 colleges in the United States. And I think one of the most important parts of this evening's program, if you could remember, is that this whole process really isn't about finding the perfect college. It's about finding a college that's a good fit. And remember that there are many colleges that would be a good fit for everyone. So now I'm going to ask Gretchen to put a different picture up. And you can see a picture of a person in pretty good balance up there. And the reason we have that up is because we have found over the last, I would say, half dozen years, 6 years, 6, 7 years, we're finding more and more students, especially during the junior year, becoming extremely stressed and anxious. We have, all of us have 11th graders who have loaded up on all AP and honors classes. They're staying up, some of them, until midnight, 1 o'clock on a regular or semi-regular basis. They have joined activities and clubs that they don't necessarily like, but they think it looks good on their resume, and it's going to help them get into college. And it's really a recipe for disaster. And it is true that colleges want to see that students challenge themselves, but they really want to see that they challenge themselves appropriately. And that means different things for different people. Colleges want to see intellectual curiosity. They want to see depth of study. Colleges would rather see students maybe focus on 1 or 2 of their academic areas of interest and be able to go much deeper in those areas. They would much rather see them join a couple of activities that they really like and enjoy, because then they're going to find meaning and purpose. And if people find something meaningful, like that, this is a good time to reassess that. We're still meeting with students for scheduling. We'll be doing it right through the end of March, and maybe you could change that for the fall. I want to talk a little bit about Naviance. I know probably most people have heard about Naviance. Just let you know a few things. We're going to get into Naviance Live in a few minutes. Naviance is a very powerful web-based program, and it allows our office, the counseling office, to do a lot of different things. It allows us to send documents electronically, and by documents I mean high school transcripts, teacher recommendations, and counselor letters of recommendations. So we're able to send those electronically, and we're actually able to sync those documents up with the student's own online application. That all takes place in the fall. That's nothing that you have to know now. We have a program in September where we talk about that. But we are able to sync that up and send that electronically. Naviance does a lot of other things as well, but primarily from this point on, students are going to be thinking of it more as their account manager, because they're going to be listing all their colleges that they're thinking about on Naviance. That's how the documents are going to get sent. But it does do things such as helps build a resume. Students can take a personality test and a career interest inventory, and much, much more. We started yesterday and we finished today. All the counselors, we went into all the English classes in 2 days. So that's about 755, 760 juniors. So unless your child was absent yesterday or today, they had an Naviance presentation in their English class. And we did all kinds of things. We're going to show you what we showed them today, but we're going to be going over much more with you guys. But we did show them and encourage them to update their email and passwords. We talked about SATs, ACTs, teacher recommendations, how the timeline flows, what they need to be doing this summer. And then April 1st, which is just around the corner, we're going to be having individual junior meetings. Every counselor has roughly 300 students each on their caseload. We each have roughly about 100 11th graders, give or take. So those appointments take us well into the month of May, and they're very individualized. As I mentioned, some kids have already visited schools, but a lot of students, a typical student has not visited schools yet. So what we'll be doing is we'll be reiterating what we went over today with them in their English class. We'll call up their Naviance account with them sitting there. We'll look it over. We'll make sure that they're doing the things that they need to be doing. We'll write notes. We'll have some information to go home as well, things that they can be working on. I'm just going to ask Gretchen to go to the home page, but she's on there already. So this is the Naviance homepage. And we're going to go over a few tabs today, but on the homepage, the most important thing, I think, one of the most important things is the message information. So if you see Junior Spring Message, so if your child would have gone on Naviance yesterday, they would have seen all this information because this has been there for a while. So we have all the upcoming SAT dates. We have the program that I talked to you about that we went into the English class today. Up there is also this evening presentation. There's a college fair coming up. And there's a financial aid night coming up as well. But there's a lot more than that on the homepage. And if you go to, I was going to show the document resources. This is going to become even more important as time goes on, because this is where we keep documents that students frequently use and they ask for. And there's all kinds of documents. So if she were to click that, you'll see, for example, we have a lot of student athletes, and sometimes a coach wants to see their unofficial transcript. This is how you request it. Sometimes students are applying to college, and the admissions wants to see their first quarter grades. Or maybe they don't want to see the first quarter grades, but the student has really good first quarter grades, so they want to send them. This is how you request it. So any form that is important and that gets used a lot, we put on the document resources part of Naviance. There's also a lot of links down at the bottom. We have links for test prep, for ACT, SAT, the FAFSA. We have a Facebook link, Common App, NCAA. Almost anything that you can think of that you're going to have a question about or need, that's a good place to start because the link will be there and you'll be able to go right to it directly from there. Another tab that I want to talk about is the About Me. So when students apply to a 4-year can start now. One is a junior autobiography. So the junior autobiography is a document. It's actually 8 questions that we've compiled and that we asked 11th graders to fill out who are applying to four-year college. And I say four-year college because community colleges, if your child was 100% sure they're applying to community college, they don't have to have a teacher letter recommendation. They don't need a counselor letter recommendation. But four-year colleges do. So for four-year colleges, we have a junior autobiography. So it's 8 specific questions we ask them to complete. And it probably takes, depends on the student, but it can take anywhere from 30 minutes to maybe an hour to complete. And we use the information. And types of information that we ask are things that set your child apart from other people, things that they're involved in. We want to know about their artistic achievements, their musical accomplishments, if they belong to maybe an athletic club or some other extracurricular activity, if they volunteer. We want to know if they babysit their siblings. We want to know if they take care of elderly relatives maybe. We want to know if they have certain hobbies or travel experiences. And we want to know that because colleges are interested in that. And we use the information from the junior autobiography, and we use another item that your child actually has in their possession right now. It's called a parent brag sheet. Every child who's had a scheduling meeting, and we're going to go over this in a little while, was given a trifold, big thick folder. And one of the items in it is called a parent brag sheet. And we would like you to fill out the parent brag sheet. And so it's basically your opportunity to tell us about your child. So we use the parent brag sheet, the junior autobiography. We use the knowledge that we have from our meetings with the student. And of course, we look at their high school transcript. And then we use all of that material to write the best recommendation we can to hopefully get your child into the colleges that they hope to go to. Another item that we require is a resume. And they've actually been adding to the resume since at least 8th or 9th grade. So a resume, it's under About Me, and that's a good way to think of it. It's about them, so that's why we put it there, same place as a junior autobiography. So a resume is used for a couple of reasons. In the fall, students are going to be having a teacher write a recommendation for them, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. But when teachers write the recommendation, they actually have access to the student's resume on Naviance. So it's a good idea, we told the students today and yesterday, to update their resume. If they haven't looked at it in a year, this is a good time. And if they have it up to date in the next week or two, then they probably don't have to look at it again until maybe the end of the summer. And then if they do some different things over the summer, then they can update it. So the teacher who's writing the recommendation will have access to that. And some teachers will actually ask for a copy also. The second reason is there are a lot of scholarships for seniors. And during the senior year, a lot of scholarships, in addition to the application, it will ask the student to print a copy of the resume. So that's why it's important to have a resume done. And again, June 1st. I want to talk a little bit about teacher recommendations. Almost all four-year colleges, and again, there's exceptions, but most four-year colleges are going to ask for, I would say the majority ask for 1 teacher recommendation, and there are some colleges that ask for 2. So what we've told the students is, this is a good time, and we told this to them the last couple of days, is to secure 1 letter recommendation now. And by secure, we mean have the conversation with the teacher. And we ask that they do not email them and ask them. It should be a face-to-face conversation. So if there's a particular teacher that they really liked, or they felt they learned a lot from, or they had a really great connection, this is the time of the year where they want to approach that teacher and let them know that they're planning on applying to college, they really enjoyed their class, and they're wondering if they'd be willing to write their recommendation. And most likely the teacher will say yes. That's securing it. And in most instances, the teacher will ask them to come back in the fall. But the reason why you want to have your child do that now is because a lot of teachers at Shen get asked by many, many students, and it can take 2 hours or more sometimes to write a letter recommendation. So some teachers have a cutoff. There's some that only do 12, some do 15. So this is a good time of year to secure 1. If your child already has a college that you know needs 2, then they should approach 2 teachers now. But if it's just 1, they should do 1. And then over the summer, let's just say they found another college that they're interested in that needs a second one, then there's plenty of time in September to do that, to approach that teacher. So in a few minutes, Lauren's going to get more into the actual college search process. And I just wanted to say a couple of words about the college application. Please don't do your child's college application. And I say that jokingly, but not really, because we do have some parents every year that actually take over the process in place of the child doing their college application. They've been trained on these things. They've been through the presentations. Your job as a parent is to do the parent brag sheet, and then in the fall, you're going to do the financial aid form. Their job is to do their resume, their job is to do their junior autobiography, and their job is to do their application. And I know, because I'm a parent too, and I know sometimes it definitely is easier to just do things yourself because you know it's done correctly, and you know that none of the deadlines have been missed. And that is true. In the short term, you may have some gain from that, but in the long term, it really does your child a disservice. It often causes a lot of confusion during the senior year because they don't know or don't think certain things are done. It also deprives them of an important role. And if you think about it, in just a year and a half, they're going to be on a college campus, and they're going to have to do everything on their own. So in many cases, this is their first real opportunity to take care of a real application that matters. So our suggestion would be, if you have a child who maybe is a little scattered or not really organized or that needs extra help with follow-through, we understand that. All we suggest is that instead of you taking over the process, that you sit there and you do it with them. Make them sign on, make sure they know their passwords, make them answer the questions. Then you can still oversee things, you can still make sure everything gets done and that deadlines are set. And in the long run, as I said, it will foster a sense of autonomy and independence, and it's going to make them feel good, and we hope you allow them that opportunity. So now we're going to get more into the specifics and ambiance that you actually, as parents, want to know as your child begins a college search.
Hi, everyone. Am I done? There we go. Okay, so yesterday and today we had a wonderful experience with all of the students. I hope they enjoyed it as much as we did. We love the college search process, and it's a very exciting time, I think, for everybody. I think the students kind of get a little bit nervous when they see us coming into the classroom because college in itself just kind of sparks up a little bit of anxiety. But I think it's okay. It's good anxiety, it's healthy, and it's a really, really fun, exciting time, and we love to work with the students through this process. So, I'd like to take this opportunity to show you a little bit about what we showed the students today, so that not only can you have an idea of what's going on, but you can also go on to Naviance with your children and do it together. I think it's a really nice experience when you're having those conversations, about how many colleges to apply to and how far away from home is going to be okay. Because a lot of these discussions are family decisions. Okay? So, I want to show you from the college tab, which is on the upper right-hand corner. And I'll just let you know, a lot of this is going to be kind of small. So just try to listen along, and when you kind of get on by yourself or with your child, which is even better, it'll all kind of come together and make sense. Okay? So from the colleges tab, you see at the very top there's a search bar. Parents, if you've gone to a four-year college and you want to see what the admissions requirements are, see if they've changed a little bit in the past few years or 20 years or so, you can type in any school up in the search bar. Maybe you have a neighbor or a nephew or niece that's going to a college and you're like, hey, I wonder, what type of GPA and SAT scores I'm looking for. You can always go in and just quickly type a college right in there, okay? What we did with the students today was we showed them how to do an advanced college search. There are over 4,000 colleges, like Ms. Riley said, and so it's a little bit overwhelming. And so to be able to use a tool like Naviance to not only narrow down the list, but also focus on the priorities that are individualized to you or your child and your family together, okay? So there's a couple of different options of how you can kind of prioritize. We start off with type of school, whether it's a 2-year school that you're looking for or a 4-year school. I'm going to do a search for you today so that you can kind of just see how it all kind of compiles together. So for today, I'm going to do a 4-year school. There are other kind of categories that you can go and choose from, whether it's public, private, small city, large town, small town. I'm going to be a little bit ambiguous today, keep it a little bit more open-ended, because I want to get a pretty solid list to show you, and then you can always kind of narrow it down after. It's kind of nicer to start with a bigger list and then narrow it down after. Next is location. You can do this a couple of different ways, okay? And I found working with students, sometimes this changes. When they're in 10th grade and they're talking, they're like, I'm going to Hawaii, I'm going to Florida, I'm sick of the weather. But then when it comes closer and more realistic, they come closer back to home, for the most part, okay? So a couple of different ways you can do this. You can go by region and look at, maybe all of New England, all of Mid-Atlantic. You can click on specific states. So let's say you say, you know what, we're just going to look at New York schools, but grandparents also live in Florida, so maybe we'll click on Florida too. You can do that also. The third way that you can do this, and this is actually my favorite, you can choose how many miles from the zip code that we live in. So we can do 180 miles, which is 3 hours, from Clifton Park. Because you have to think about it. University of Rhode Island, for example, is closer to us than SUNY Buffalo. So you don't want to kind of like just stick your head and think just New York, because that's going to be close. Sometimes Massachusetts, we've got Springfield University, which is about an hour and a half away. So there's a lot of different options out there. So this kind of keeps it a good way to be next radius. You can do a nice 3-hour radius, 4-hour radius, whatever you feel comfortable with. Moving along to students. This is going to be all about the student body. Most importantly, I think for students would be the enrollment. How many students are on campus? So at Shen, there's about 2,400 high school students here at High School East. You count High School West also, that's about 3,200. So everyone's different. I can't stress it enough. We mentioned the word good fit a lot. Some students think that they want a really big school because they came from a big high school. Some students think that they came from a big high school, it wasn't always the best. They didn't always feel the most comfortable, so they want to find something different, go to a really small liberal arts school. Sometimes they have an idea in their head that they want to go to a particular size school, and then once they get on campus, they're like, oh, that wasn't what I was thinking. So they change their mind. So you can keep it open-ended and kind of narrow down later. That's what I'm going to do for today, just to show you. But if you did want a large university, 10 to 15,000, 15 to 20,000, you can kind of, prioritize it out. Next is probably the most important, admission. This is going to be how selective the school is, okay? So less than 25% of students that are accepted based on those who applied, that's a very competitive college. I was just looking today with a student at Columbia University down in New York City. They accept 7% of students that apply. Okay, so that's a very small amount. It varies greatly, and like we keep saying, there's 4,000 colleges out there. So yes, there are very competitive colleges, but there's also moderately competitive, and there's less competitive, so there really are schools for everyone. And more than one school that you would be okay with. I'm gonna leave it as no preference. I really like to have a list for students, and I like to help them create a list where they can have kind of a range of likely schools, reach schools, and also safety schools. So by keeping this open-ended, it can allow me to kind of categorize that later. Next is athletics. This is going to be for everyone. Students who do want to play either a D1 or D2 or D3 sport at the college level, you can search for colleges and kind of check off. Right under where it says sports, there's a drop-down, so you can choose the actual sport that you're going to be playing, and then you can filter it just to make sure that they have the sport that you're interested in playing. Next is majors. Not everyone knows what major they're interested in. However, if you have a son or daughter that's interested in some sort of, area of science, that's perfectly fine. Maybe you have a couple of areas that you're interested in, and you can put all of those in. So It's okay if you're undecided, it's okay if you're not exactly sure, but if you're thinking, maybe science, maybe business, these are all things that we can check to make sure that schools offer so that you don't end up transferring later on. For today, I want to show you a more specific search, so let's put in physical therapy. There's an option to put in just one, or you can put in multiple majors, but for today, we'll just look at one. Make sure you click on the actual major, click Add Selected, and then we can view matches. So just to review, we are looking at four-year schools within a 3-hour radius from here. And it came up with about 30 schools that offer physical therapy. Okay. All of those little stars next to the school's name, that just means it has even more information available to us through Naviance. So if you click on one of those colleges, let's click on Ithaca, just to show you. There are a lot of search tools out there, college search tools. What I really like about Naviance and what's unique about it is that we have about 10 years worth of admissions data from Shen students who have applied and whether they've been accepted, denied, waitlisted to the schools based on their GPA, SAT scores, and other information. So there are a lot of other great websites out there. Definitely check them out. But this is kind of unique and more personalized for here at Shen. So whatever college you click on, at the very top, it's very, very small, but there's always going to be a direct link to the school on their website. There's also going to be an overview. So schools will send in pictures of their campus. Of course, they'll send the most beautiful ones, and sometimes even a virtual tour that's up there. The average net price, be very, very careful. This is just the average net price. It's not the sticker price. So finding actual tuition and room and board costs and anything else, definitely check out the school's individual website, okay? You can adjust on the income over there, but it's not taking into consideration that number, any merit scholarships or federal financial aid, okay? Other things, it talks about the graduation rate that school has within 6 years. Ideally, we want 4, okay? Saves a lot of money. Acceptance rate. 70%. So I was just talking about Columbia with a 7% acceptance rate. This is Ithaca, another private school with 70%. So there's a big difference. I really like this button, college overlaps. So this means there are 82 schools that Shen students who have applied to Ithaca have also applied to these schools. Okay, some of the schools up here, if you can see, Syracuse University, SUNY Oneonta, Siena, SUNY Geneseo, SUNY Portland, Marist. You can kind of see they're kind of in the same radius from here. Similar size except for Syracuse, which is much larger. This will give you a nice idea of other schools that you might be interested in that are similar to the school that you were just looking at. It gives not only the information on how many applications went there, but also the accepted percent, based on accepted GPA, average SAT score, all that good stuff. Okay. Other things that are up here, any important deadline that you need to have, early action, early decision, regular decision will be up here. I will say, if you're looking at a very specific program, definitely double check on the school's website because sometimes there's those unique combined programs and you'll want to make sure that they don't have a different deadline than the traditional college admission deadline. This will compare you to other students from your high school that are applying as well. So this kind of gives you a nice little range to see if you're kind of on the right mark in looking at this particular school. Okay? Naviance saves your information based on your GPA and also your SAT score. Right now, it has PSAT score information for juniors, unless you've taken the SAT or ACT. And so it basically has that information, compares it to other students that are applying, and will give you a good idea of whether it's where you stand for that school. Okay. Other things to look at, studies. This is going to be all the programs that Ithaca in particular offers. At the very top, it'll have the programs that the college is known for, And then below, it'll have all of the colleges, all of the majors that are offered at that particular school. Student life talks about ethnicity data, gender, age of the students that are on campus. It'll go into the specifics of how many students live on campus or off campus. Admissions. This is the exciting part. Based on the admissions. So again, this is data from the past 10 years or so that Naviance collects based on Shen students in particular, okay? Gives this nice scattergram plot, or scattergram, which basically takes students' GPA, which is on the left side, and then SAT score across the bottom. You can change it to ACT score if you want. There's like a little drop down. And it basically plots the students to show you who's been accepted, which would be all the green that are there, who's been denied, which are the little red X's, and the blue is waitlisted, okay? So you probably can't see it. Right in the middle of that green, there's a little blue person, and that would be me, based on my GPA and SAT scores up there. So for every individual student here, it's going to plot you, or plot them. So you can see kind of if everyone around you is green, you're feeling this is a really good school that I have a great chance of getting accepted into. Okay. What's nice about this, I like to kind of point out, sometimes you'll see a little red X in a sea of green, and you're wondering, what happened? What happened there? That's where those other factors kind of come into play, and other factors being extracurricular activities, letters of recommendation from the teacher or counselor, community service, college essay, all of those things. Okay? It's not a perfect science. Based on the program that the student's applying to, that could make things, vary greatly too. It's different getting into University of Buffalo, undecided, than getting into the pharmacy program. Okay? So that's going to make a big difference too. And that's going to cause, show you some of those discrepancies. At the very bottom, it's going to tell you some recommended courses, and those recommended courses are from high school. So a lot of students, maybe last year's 10th graders would ask us, do I need to continue with a foreign language? Should I take fourth year of math or science when I get to senior year? This is going to be a broad overview of what the college is looking for. Again, it depends on the program. So if you're going into math or science or engineering, yes, absolutely, they definitely want math or science. But this is going to give you an overview, okay? All right. Costs will give you some information on how many students are receiving aid, federal grants, things like that. There's a lot more detailed information on this on their website. There's even a financial aid calculator where you can plug in your own personal information and kind of get a really, really good idea of what you'd be responsible for. This was the college search. There's, like I said, so many colleges out there. It's kind of like buying a car. There's a lot of cars out there. But when you kind of think about what your priorities are, maybe you have 4 kids, so that knocks out all those, tiny cars. Maybe you want to stay mid-size, knocks out all the really large cars. But once you kind of think about what your priorities are, you kind of get this nice little bundle, okay? The counselors are here to help you and your children. I don't want to speak for myself, but I want to speak for everyone. We love working with you guys. It's really fun to kind of see the progression. It's a natural progression, like Ms. Riley said. It's one of those times where, if we're sitting with a kid and they have a list of schools, and they're like, I don't know, I just want a couple more schools, maybe a little bit closer, that's a great opportunity for us to say, I see you have Lemoyne on the list. I know it's close. Have you thought about Siena? They're really, really similar, or vice versa. There's about a dozen or so colleges right in the capital region. It's a great opportunity to get on a college campus, different college campuses, to see what the differences are. There's 3 community colleges, there's a technical school, RPI, there's a large state university at SUNY Albany, Union, Skidmore, where else? St. Rose, Sage. So there's so many different colleges right here. So you don't even have to travel very far just to kind of step on campus, do a little open house, and see what it feels like to be on a small campus, or what it feels like to be on a large campus. And from there, you can kind of branch out and maybe go a little bit further if that's what you want, okay? All right. Once you like a college, and there's a little heart next to the college, you can actually just click on the little heart and it'll put it into a saved list on your account. So this is my saved list. It's called Colleges I'm Thinking About, okay? So what this does is it kind of organizes all the schools that I'm thinking about. And it's not committing, we're not applying anywhere yet. It's just schools that I kind of have on my radar. So I've got Georgetown on there. That'll be a reach school for me. Ithaca. I've got University of Miami, which is a little bit far for me, but you know, I'm going to keep it on there for now. It tells me the delivery type. We don't have to worry too much about this, but just to give you an idea, most of these schools that I'm applying to accept the common application. Okay, so that means I can fill out one application and then disperse it to the different schools that I'm applying to. It'll have all of the deadlines on here in one place, on one screen, which I think is really helpful, because I think that can be stressful sometimes. So you can see it says multiple deadlines, and if you hover over it, it will just tell what's, you know, an early deadline, what's the regular deadline, and they'll have all the deadlines that they offer. Okay? Sometimes missed, but a really important button right at the top, it says Compare Me. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's comparing my average GPA and SAT scores for all of the schools in one nice kind of graph, okay? So it's got my GPA up there, but then the average GPA of the accepted student to that particular school. It's got the SAT information, ACT information, and then the overall acceptance for Shen students that applied and were accepted to that school. So I hope that was a little bit helpful for you guys. What's nice about, you know, searching for the colleges on Allianz is, again, like I said, having that data from prior Shen students, okay? You know, when we think about all the different colleges that are out there, the requirements that they have, the admissions requirements are all going to vary. Every college is very different. When we look at what colleges that you want to think about, here are all the kind of things that they take into consideration when they're looking at prospective students. Okay? Extracurricular activities, the type of major that you're looking at. You want to consider location, how far you want to be. Colleges are going to look at these different things. Strength of schedule, like Ms. Riley said, you want to challenge yourself, but you also want that balance. You want to appropriately challenge yourself, okay? Colleges look at recommendations that we've talked about, the college essay. In the student's little folder, we put the college essay questions right in there. So we kind of told the students today, put it on your dresser, glance at it over the summer, just brainstorm some ideas of what you might want to write about, maybe even write a nice rough draft, very rough draft over the summer. No matter what English class the students are registered for in the fall, for senior year, they're going to work on the college essay as their first assignment. So, kind of, you know, get two birds with one stone, so that's nice. Extracurricular activities, community service, job shadowing, internships, all wonderful experiences. Colleges are not expecting quantity, a ton, they want quality. So, like Jan said, you want to be passionate about it, you want it to be something that you care about, and colleges can see through that. College interview. Some colleges do interviews, but not all. So it's one of those important things that you can look at on the website, see if that's an opportunity. If you go to a college fair, like we have later in April, you can talk to an admissions rep and ask them if that's something that their school offers. Personal characteristics, leadership, motivation, self-discipline, things like that. So even if you're involved in one club, or if your child's involved in just one club, but from sophomore year they became an officer and had a leadership position, that was, you know, it's a lot of responsibility, okay? It's taking on a lot more than someone who might just show up every few meetings throughout the year. Demonstrated interest. Having the Common App now, it's pretty easy to apply to a lot of different colleges because you don't have to handwrite it all out like we did. It does cost money to apply to colleges, so that kind of, dissuades some people. However, it's pretty easy once you fill out the application to just click away and say, well, let's apply here too, let's apply here too. What it means though, because it's a business, so from the college's standpoint, they really want to figure out, what the yield is going to be. They want to know who's really, really interested in coming to their school or who's just applying for a safety school, let's say. So ways of showing demonstrated interest. At a college fair, children should go up to the admissions counselor and ask them questions, introduce themselves, strong handshake. They will take all this information into consideration. Go on a tour, if possible. Make sure you do an official tour. Don't just stop by campus, make sure they know that you're there. Also, you could email questions about the program in particular that you might be interested in. You can take a few minutes, follow the colleges that you're interested in on social media, their Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram, things like that. If they offer an overnight visitation, some schools do that, where you can actually go and stay over the weekend with a current student that's there that kind of volunteers and go to a class with them as well. So that's kind of a nice opportunity for students closer to when you're kind of maybe deciding between one or two schools. Acceptance likelihood. So we've talked a little bit about, likely schools and a good fit. We tell students, there's no right number of schools to apply to. I would say on average, students apply to about 6 to 8 schools. But again, if you're applying to a music program and you need to have auditions, that might be some more schools. If you're applying to a really competitive combined medical program, that might increase the number of schools that you apply to. It's different for everyone. Again, it's a family decision. But we tell students, within your list of schools you're applying to, you really want to have mostly likely schools. You can have as many rich schools as you want, as long as you have at least one safety school that you're happy going to, okay? And we tell the students, safety school doesn't necessarily mean just based on academics. This could be a financial safety as well. Schools are really, really expensive. So you can get into a whole bunch of schools that you're crazy about, and they're crazy about you, but it's just not gonna, it's not gonna cut it financially. So there's a lot of opportunities to start off at a 2-year school and then transfer later on to a 4-year school. So we work with students with their list. When they come to us as juniors, if they have some schools in there with colleges that they're thinking about, we'll go over with them. These are the likely schools. This might be a reach school, definitely a safety school. We'll do this again when they kind of solidify their list when they're seniors. And at any time, we can always help figure out, on that list. Again, it's not perfect science, so it's really, nice to be able to work with the admissions counselors at the office as well to help figure this out. I'm going to pass things on to our next presenter, Ms. Lynch.
All right, we can go to the next slide. So when we met with the juniors, this is Karad. When we met with the juniors today, we told them, if you're a student who's going to apply to at least one 4-year school in the fall, we'd like you to register for both the SAT and the ACT in this absolutely gorgeous pamphlet, which I'm going to talk to you even more about towards the end. We gave them a chart that showed them SAT scores in comparison to ACT scores. So if they take both this spring, maybe they can see which one they did higher on and retake that one in the fall. Many colleges will super score your SAT. What that means is highest critical reading and highest math, regardless of sitting. Okay? So we encourage them to take them both. We are finding more colleges than ever are SAT optional. And so if we're meeting with a student and we say, gosh, you're awesome, you're a hardworking student, but boy, the test has just been a little bit of a stumble block, we might suggest schools like Siena, or I'm just talking about ones that are close by, or St. Rose. There are a lot of test optional schools, but one we know is that most students will apply to at least one that Ms. Riley said, on the homepage of Naviance, we have free, our favorite word, free tutorials for both exams so that students can jump on and get a little bit of familiar. What you are doing, what they are doing in their classroom every day is the most important thing to study for these tests. It's the everyday thing. And I know they'd love to hear this. Cards down front. Read, 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 read. The more you read, the quicker you become, and the quicker you get through some of these tests. So read about something they enjoy. Students who, we're seeing more and more students also applying and going to our community colleges first. College costs have risen exponentially, and students, I never thought I'd say this, but there's an honors program in the humanities at Hudson Valley Community College because kids with a 95 or better are attending. There are students who attend Hudson Valley Community College for 2 years, then partner with many of our locals and branching out, do 2+2 and save a significant amount of money. If you're a student who is 100% certain, or 150 really, that you are not, that you're going to exercise that option, go to a 2-year school first, SATs and ACTs are not required. So we're not in the business of spending your hard-earned $65 in 3 hours of their life they can't return to take it. So community college is not required. Even if you then transfer after, do a 2+2, they're still not required. Okay? So if students are going to apply to at least one 4-year school, they should be taking them both. One great question, we talked about the college fair that's coming up, April 17th here. One great question to ask an admissions counselor, if you want something to start a conversation with, is how do you emphasize SAT scores in the admissions process? You could ask RPI, they'll probably more than math. You're going to ask Sienna, they say we don't require them. You're going to ask, SUNY Albany, they're going to say we look both of them pretty equally. So it depends on the school. Those are great questions to ask the reps while they're here. Next year, or next fall, we are going to explain to students, SATs are not on their transcript. Students must send those scores directly from the test center, we're going to show them how to do that in the fall, to the colleges that require them for admissions. Because as I said, not all of them require them. So, they're not on the transcript, they don't go anywhere. They pick which one is higher and send that to just those colleges that require them. Okay? Subject tests. There are very highly selective colleges who may require the subject test. I have to be honest, it's getting less and less. So if your son or daughter is a student who might be applying to very selective schools, I would encourage them to go directly to the college website, because sometimes it changes even without us knowing. Some now will accept the ACT with writing in those subject tests. Those are the tests that are specific to a subject, like the biology, the math. And it's really probably less than 50 schools in the country. And sometimes it also depends on the program. Because if you apply to a particular college, just general admissions, they won't require it. If you apply to a college, a specific program like maybe an articulated medical program, they might require them as well. One other thing I should tell you, I forgot to say, sorry, on the last slide about SATs. If a college doesn't require them for admissions, I'm going to give an example. The College of St. Rose does not require SAT for admissions to their college. But they do require them for scholarship purposes. Be sure to ask that question, okay? Just so you don't get yourself caught in, gee, I had all this whole idea. And that might be just fine, but you know, you just want to make sure that it's optional for both of those pieces, okay? This is probably the piece that we didn't talk to kids about. We are leaving it all up to you guys. This is the money part. And one of the things is on June 4th, we will have a financial aid evening programs in High School West Auditorium at 6:30. Especially if you're your oldest kid is the first one going through, please attend. One of the things that I can say about financial aid overall, you don't know exactly what they're going to give you, but every college website by law has to have what they call a net price calculator. So you could jump on a college and put in a little bit of your financial information and get an idea of what the college might cost. Unfortunately, packages, you apply to a college October, November, December, January, and you're not going to get those packages until April 1st. We are seeing packages that small private schools may rival a SUNY, so I don't want to discourage a student from applying to a particular school, but you have to have that realistic conversation with your child saying, gee, you know, we're going to have to look at this, or this is what I can do. One of the terms that was used earlier was early action and early decision. And we talked to the kids about that today. Early action, easy way to remember this. And again, I'm going to go through all these pages, but again, we put all this information in their packet. Early action is just an action. Apply as many as you want. Early decision is a true decision. That means you're applying to one and one only. Not all schools offer this, but if they offer early decision, you're going to apply to that school, and you're making the financial commitment to attend that college if they say yes. That means you withdraw all other applications. Okay, so you don't get to see all those financial packages. You've sat with an admissions counselor, please do, and made sure that I am able to afford this particular school. Okay? We have in our office, students often ask about scholarships. Juniors right now, we have quite a few that are actually starting to come through, so please come to our office if you're a student who wants to. We make announcements all the time. Come senior year, there's a lot more scholarships available to students. We tried using this year, it worked really pretty well. We used a Remind app for kids who want to sign up on their phone. We do announcements, we send them up to homeroom. We just try to get it out so the kids can see it. Scholarships come in 3 different ways. One, I applied to the school. I got some merit money based on maybe my SAT scores or maybe a particular program gave money. It's through the school. Number 2 is anything that comes through our office. Any scholarship that we're alerted to, we pass on to the kids. We try to get that stuff out there, get some kids that apply to it and help them out with it. Number 3, you can Google search. You can go on College Boards and search. Your parents' work might have one. You work at Price Chopper might have one. Anything that the kids find that they want to apply to scholarship-wise, just bring it to our office. We'll help them get whatever documents they need together, whether it's a teacher rec, our rec, transcript. We'll make sure everything gets together for them and send it out. The one thing you want to be cautious of is you never pay for a scholarship. That's a roost. You go to the next. Students, just a quick slide. If you are a student who is going to participate in Division I or Division II athletics, it's imperative that your counselor know. We have to ensure that you have the core courses required to participate, and we just want to make sure that we're well aware of that, especially as we're making senior schedules. But just make sure the counselor knows if you're a student who might participate in either one of those. Okay. So this is like a good spot for me to kind of talk. We put together, we used to give out a Next Step program, which was about 25 pages, and I know this is going to be surprising, but I don't think many juniors were reading it. So we decided to try to go with something a little flashier and easier and something that they could take with them. So as we met the juniors for scheduling, because we did know some of them are ready to roll. It's going to take us through May to get through our junior conferences. We gave them one of these, and inside was their own transcript so that they can photocopy it as many times as they want when they're going on their tours. Because we've been telling them, hey guys, you know, never know who you're going to meet. We just came for a tour, and I'm like, how does science department just ran by and said they'd meet with you? And you're like, really? And guess what they're going to ask you? First question, how are you doing so far in school? And you're going to be, I don't like your finger like I do. And you're going to be so professional because you're going to open your folder and you say, I have an extra copy of my transcript. This is, you know, this gives you all the information about how I've done so far. So the students got their own transcript. In here is a lot of information about campus visits and interviews. Please, I'm going to talk a little bit about the application, not to worry about it right yet. Procedure for teacher recommendations. We also gave them inserts, everything from the admissions decisions I talked about, the parent brag sheet, all the essay questions, everything about SATs, financial aid information, and that comparison table. So please, we are, probably each of us have a few left, so if your son or daughter hasn't gotten it, they will, because we have to do their schedule. But we're trickling towards the end, and we've kind of started our sophomore, so we'll get to them. But if they haven't, you will find, please ask for this by the 1st of next month. We're getting through everybody by we have to be done by March 29th, so please ask for this. It kind of, in the back is about this whole process, and I think a lot of times students, there's a lot of anxiety about the application. That's not where we are right now. I am not kidding when I tell you, if the students follow exactly what we tell them month by month, chipping away at this, if you sat down with your resume and your transcript, you can do that Common App in about 3 hours. It's all pretty much data entry except for your essay, which we're asking the kids to do over the summer, okay? So please ask this of your son or daughter, and you can walk through it. There's tons of information here. And the next slide, we want to kind of make sure, or I told you about the college fair. We want to make sure that students are out there visiting. We did encourage them, or have encouraged them, if for any reason they can't visit a school, sometimes call the colleges. Like if you're really interested in the University of Michigan, guess what? The local rep is our department chair right here at Shen. So there are schools that are out of the state that you might say, gee, you have a local rep, and they'll meet you at Panera, they'll meet you at Starbucks, and they'll talk to you about their campus. So please dive in, and we try to tell them, your parents didn't go buy a house or pick out a car or do any of those things online. It's got to be a test drive type of thing. If you can go, it is great to try to go when the kids are on campus. I know that a lot will be over the summer, but we do have a lot of local schools that it's great to see, a large number of kids on campus. Talk to kids. You have the tour guide standing right next to you. Where did you apply and why did you pick here? They were doing the same process you guys were doing a year ago. Why did you pick the school? What made you come here? I hear it a lot of times that pharmacy is an easy one because Albany College of Pharmacy is a smaller school, but they're all doing the same thing at the same time. They don't have distractions of maybe kids with other majors or anything. And then you get a kid who goes to a different school and says, no, I want the university feel. I didn't want to go to a pharmacy only. It's all flavor. All colleges are good. Kids always ask us this one, that they're all good. Whatever the path is for for the student is probably the right path. Maybe a college that has a couple majors, because many of us changed maybe twice or maybe 3 times. So you never know. And then in that last one, here's where I want to dispel. I think a lot of kids come back. That's why I want to talk to you about the brochure. And if they chip away and do exactly what we say each month, I hear kids say things about the college application. I am not kidding when I say, if you're going to do a rough draft of your essay and the teacher's helping you with that, plus we have extra help in my office, and we open our doors every lunch period on every Monday and Wednesday. We're going to do all this stuff in the fall. But we have so much support, the application doesn't take that long. It's like buying your house. It was all the search and do I like this location and what do I like and what do I like about it? Sitting down and filling out the papers and that was the easier part of it. It's the same with this process. We have so much help in the fall. We are asking the students to do a rough draft. The college essay will be done by their English teachers reviewed. If they still feel like, geez, I want another set of eyes on it, no big deal, come to the counseling center. We have some English teachers who stay after school. We are going to have very similar presentations with the kids in the fall. We'll go into the English classrooms. Then we'll give you folks, parents, the same presentation at night. We do this all over again. Then we meet with each senior individually so that we make sure that their list is right, that they are in the right spot. And that takes us probably through about mid-November to get through everybody. But we will do it again. We'll have senior interviews. Students get a little confused too. They want to jump on and get that application started. You don't have to, okay? I mean, yes, it opens in August and everybody seems to be rushing at it. I'd rather them spend the time researching more schools or doing an overnight or going to an open house or doing something fun with their campuses. We will walk them through. There'll be plenty of time. Except for a few schools in the country, the earliest deadline is November 1st. There's like 6 schools that are October 15th, and that's it. The rest are all November 1st. We'll have plenty of time. They have to apply. We're going to teach them how to apply in the fall, which is the common application or the college's own application, okay? What we hope is many of them are on the common app. We'll show them that when time comes, okay? We do ask, though, if you do have an October 15th, if it is one of those half a dozen schools, that we get notified just to make sure that we get the kid in early. We got to get their senior interview done and get everything rounded up. We will have like official ranking GPA and everybody's stuff ready by about the second week of September. We need all of the results throughout the summer and then we'll do everything official, okay? Again, I said, every Monday and Wednesday, what we were starting to hear in the counseling center is, like, I listen over and Jan's saying the same thing and Lauren's saying the same thing, and we have one kid at a time, and I was like, this seems kind of crazy. So we all said about 3 or 4 years ago, why don't we just open our office up? That way, the kid doesn't have to make an appointment and come with a pass. Remember, every lunch period, every Monday and Wednesday, from the opening of school through December, every lunch period, 4 through 7, Mondays and Wednesdays, you just come in. You want help with your application, you want help sending your college scores, you want whatever they need, they can just come in. That way it's just easier for them. They don't have to worry about making appointments. And that has worked out great. Okay. Next. What we told them, by June, they should have registered for the SAT and the ACT. They have secured one teacher letter of recommendation. They've got that junior autobiography and resume done. If they do that, we're giving them little chipways. This is all leading up to the application. This is all stuff to get ready for it. They do that, we're good at June. Go visit, go have fun. Over the summer, the rough draft of the college essay, and get that list going. Let's get that list so when you come back in September, I can legitimately say, okay, it'll probably have some modification, but that list is going to kind of be ready. And then we are going to finalize everything September, October, and then we're going to help them with the application. So if you can spend your energy and your time on research, just like you would if you were buying anything else that costs as much as college does. So anything that you can do to get on campus, to do an online search, to do something that you can really feel like I have a good list with maybe a reach or two, matches, and at least one safety. And as Lauren said, we do encourage, or we do ask every student to apply to at least one SUNY unless they've confirmed with their parents that that is okay, because that gives them an economic safety. In the planner we gave them all the SUNY school brochure and all the private schools of the state of New York brochure. So they are kind of armed with everything they need to kind of sift this out. No, pretty much, I don't know, speaking for you guys, but when we gave them this information today, their little eyes rolled back, kind of like, what? It's a lot of information, and we know it's even a lot tonight. We promise, just email us or just ask us. We are really excited, like they said, we are excited about this. This is, a big step. It's a lot of, the more that they dive in, the more that they work at this, the more that you do the research, the more comfortable you're going to be feeling with your decisions. And the kids who say they have a headache are the kids who did not do the 5 months of things we told them to do. And all of a sudden, the procrastination monster said, oh, whoopsie, it's September 1st. Isn't this fun? I'm going to do 5 months worth of stuff all at once. We have told them, please, pick out something else to procrastinate, like, not your parents' chores, but pick something else to procrastinate, but not this, because this, if you stay on pace, we've chipped it away so this is not stressful. It should be fun and exciting and getting out there and really finding that next step. And last screen, Mrs. Riley, Dan's going to come back up. Oh, we have resources. Please, Jan can explain our Facebook even better than I can because she updates all the time. There are wonderful resources on our Facebook and on our counseling website. Please head there often. It is fabulous. Jan can even tell you a little bit more about how she updates Facebook.
So if you are a Facebook user, just to let you know, I know recently, just talking to a couple parents, they weren't aware that we have a Facebook page, but the high school counseling office does have a Facebook page, and the sole purpose really is to inform and inspire. So we just have articles that I think that most parents would find interesting, especially articles regarding how to maybe help your kids become more resilient. If you have a student athlete, tips in that process. If you have an introverted child, really everything. If you have a child with ADHD, we have all kinds of articles. And so if you could follow us, that would be great. And something else we wanted to let you know about is April 30th.
Here's a slide.
Can you go to the next slide? On April 30th, we have a program coming, and the gentleman is a national speaker. His name is Peter Van Busker, and he travels around the country, and we have him coming here at 6:30 on April 30th, and it's called the Admission Game. And basically, it's a high-energy, high-impact evening, and it's going to be held here, and the audience basically is transformed into a college admissions committee, and we have various case studies. And he is a former admissions counselor, and he basically reveals to people sort of the hidden agenda program. If anybody needs or wants to leave, you're welcome to. We have a microphone. Do we have a microphone?
We do.
Oh,
And also, I just want to let everybody know, this PowerPoint, along with the video, will be up on our website. So the video takes a day or two. Thank you, Mr. Viciani, for hooking us up with that. And the PowerPoint is up on. If anybody wants to stay seated and wants to just raise their hand, we will stay until everybody's question is answered. It's your time. Fire away. Oh. I'll go here in the back.
Hi. My question is, there's a lot of resources that I'm seeing as far as the essay interview. Nobody mentioned anything about these college interviews that a lot of these colleges are talking about. And my daughter and I went to a couple of college visits over February break, and they were all talking about scheduling interviews. Is there any resources, either in print or within the guidance office, to help these kids understand what to expect? I'll be honest, when we were meeting with a couple of coaches, I tried to give her a few questions to come prepared with, and she was nervous wreck. So I feel, is there anything that you guys have out there to help these guys with the interviews?
yeah, actually, we have a great packet, and it's inside here. So if you ask your child about this, just so you know, I think I mentioned the college interviews briefly, but some colleges offer interviews, some colleges actually don't allow interviews, and then you need to know what the policy is at the college too, because there are colleges that offer interviews, but it's considered informational only, and it's not part of the admissions process. So I would just be careful about that. You should ask them, does this count as part of the admissions process, or is it just an informational meeting? But there are some large universities that don't allow it. But inside this packet, we have a wonderful several-page packet, and it's tips on the college interview. And we have questions that students can be expected that they're going to be asked, and also some ideas and questions that they can ask as well. And it's a really great packet.
Yeah, it's inside there. Also, if you go on Marianne's to the document library that we showed you, there's that full next step. That's what we got all that stuff in the brochure. There's even more questions. We just couldn't fit them on, so I did tailor it down just a little bit to the more common ones. But if you want to go on that next step, it's got important documents on the home page. That has the next step brochure. That's the 25-page thing that wasn't getting read as much as well. So yes, lots of questions.
If your student forgets their login credentials and their password for Navion, how do they find that?
Good question. So I actually got a couple of emails just today because students, after our program went to log on and realized that they forgot their password. So they can come into our office. Any of the administrative assistants out front can help them. They can email their counselor, and we can reset it for them. Sometimes they will try to do like the forget password and have an email to them, but because it's a Shen School's email, it'll block the forgot password message. So just don't stop by the counseling center or email their counselor.
And that was something too, this is really important, and we did stress it with the kids. Please do not use the Shen School's email because the server may block something from a college, and so if you forget your password, you have a little bit of trouble with the Common App. We encourage you to use a personal email. We told all the kids today, please just make sure that email is professional. And that, yeah. So, but make sure the email is professional, but use your own because, it's a public high school, and so you're not, there's a chance, a possibility that something would get blocked, okay? Shen, but is just have your son or daughter talk to their counselor, and we will work out how to get documents there. You're correct, like doing the resume, doing the junior undergraduate, all those steps are the same, because they still might need those things, but how we get the documents there will be the only big difference. We actually do have some Canada schools in Albion, so you might find it.
There's also, admissions counselors have a region that they kind of represent. So at the college fair, the admissions reps that are going to be there typically are the capital region reps. So they're familiar with Shen and Guilderland and, Niskayuna. But the international schools will have an international admissions counselor. So that's going to be a wonderful contact for you because they know, they work with, United States students. So that's going to be perfect.
My question relates to the data that is collected in Naviance. You mentioned that you've got 10 years worth of data that it is. Is this data personally identifiable information, meaning that in 10 years from now, is my son's data going to be available if somebody decides they want to hack into all of this information? How secure and what does Naviance do to make us feel secure that our children's data is secure? Because this is a lot of information.
One of the things that I can say is this program, much like our information system that we use here at Shen, has been well researched. I would say of all of the Capital District, and almost everybody seems to know, everybody is using the program. The student's name is never attached to the data that you see. At the end of the year, students fill out a questionnaire for us. And all it says is, here's your list of schools you can apply to. Can you let us know, can you just let us know if you were accepted, denied, or waitlisted? That's all it asks them. So that's how those scattergrams are generated, is really just the kid's self-response. We always say, please be honest, and because you're really helping out your colleagues next year with that data. The kids fill out a senior questionnaire, and all of it is then just by person. I feel comfortable with it because I know that one of the largest application programs in the country, the Common Application, is directly synced with Naviance, and I do think that, that they're very protected. They make us sign a waiver that connects Naviance to Common App. We have to go through it with the kids when we match the accounts. In order for us to match the accounts, the kids have to put in, it doesn't.
Their social security number is not attached to this.
No,
Nothing.
No, and I will tell you this, I'm an old dog, and when the new tricks came out a few years back with the Naviance, I'm like, oh my God, online, I want to just put it in the mail. We have got nothing that has been, I think there was more chance of things being zipped open and left on people's desks when it got to colleges. This is all electronic, it goes into an electronic file, and colleges tend to delete it once their application process is done. So they don't have all this quagmire of stuff. So a lot of colleges now, once their application process is done, they have their freshman class, they'll go ahead and purge everything out. But ours doesn't have any people paying money. Sure. This language is bad.
That's okay. My question is this. My daughter was told today to get one teacher recommendation. That it had to be a core teacher, not an elective teacher. An elective teacher, she's considered, she spent 2 years in a row. She's developed a relationship. And when you're mentioning that some of these teachers can only make, let's be honest, it takes 2.5 hours to write a letter of recommendation. Sometimes they can only take 15, 20 students max. Can there be any teacher as long as they're a Shen teacher, or does it have to be a core teacher?
Well,
Social studies, English, math.
right.
science.
That's a great question. As a general rule, we would tell them that because as the majority of colleges are going to want a core teacher, meaning English, math, social studies, science, and language other than English. But that doesn't mean that every single college does. If your child has a particular college they have in mind, they could look on that college's website to see. I had a student this year who the college was okay with them using the technology teacher. She happened to have someone for Java and AP Computer Science, and the school was fine with that. But as a general rule, most of the applications will say, we would like it from a core teacher. And then sometimes there are colleges that will say they'll take two. So if let's just say she was applying to a college and they want a core teacher, but if they're going to take a second teacher too.
And does it have to be a junior year teacher, or can they go back?
It doesn't have to be, but in general, you probably want to, but there are exceptions to that.
Right, but when you mentioned to me that some of these teachers feel overwhelmed, you know, they're all going to be going in this week asking for recommendations.
No, they won't talk, believe me.
One of the two things that come to mind is, I mean, we've all been, all of us have been here a long time, and I can say honestly, there has not been a time where you have that many kids that ever come and say, gee, I can't find a teacher. Or, you know what I mean? I don't seem to get it.
Yeah.
I've never had that. This is my 14th
And they
year.
really do it, I mean, maybe if your child, maybe one of those kids that goes off right now and does it, but believe me, we'll be, a month from now, we'll have kids, good students that haven't talked to any teacher, and we'll say it again and again, and sometimes even the end of June, they haven't done it yet, so it really happens in dribs and drabs, so I would, my suggestion, I would be one of those kids that would do it right away, but most of our students don't, they're not as rough as we think they are.
Did the kids get a copy of the letter of recommendation?
Actually, two things lead me to that. Remember, our recommendation and teacher recommendations are confidential. Colleges want confidential letters of recommendation. You're not going to ask somebody for a bad recommendation, but the reason they want that is because the admissions counselor will believe that that recommender is going to be more candid if that letter is confidential. The reason that they often ask for the one to be a core has to do more with the differentiation between my letter of rec and a teacher letter of rec. Teacher letter of rec, what they want to see is how's that kid going to be in my classroom, and of course I tell them that they have to take, that isn't an option. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're telling you, you got to take English 11. They want to see it in a real, like a course that the kids have to take versus an elective, which is wonderful. It shows a different part of them. It shows maybe a different aspect of their personality. So that recommendation is wonderful. But that's what the admissions counselor wants to see is how's that kid going to be? Do they work well in groups? Do they answer questions? Do they seek help when needed? So it would be like a course that you have to take, and that's what they're looking for. Versus ours, where we're trying to get more information on how that kid may appear on campus. Do they, again, this is the activities they've been in. This is their strengths. I can see them being a good roommate. I can see them getting involved in things on your campus. You know what I mean? Because they're trying to make the campus full of awesome kids that
Well-rounded.
Yes.
You know.
But that's why they ask for a core.
Ultimate Frisbee,